in the mount. He'd sweep and dude, there was such large home court advantage too for HQ.
Yeah.
He'd like get into side control and everybody would be like, fuck yeah, like he'd do like some fucking cartwheel shit, right?
Yeah.
And like everyone would like fucking lose their shit and I'd immediately get this knee like whoop
Yeah.
and just get it in and then
Slide
regard
that
into
bitch in there.
butterfly and in the middle of cheering everyone would be like, "Oh." And just have to stop. Yeah, exactly, dude. And I was having so much fun, dude.
So
I was
just
like
a
smiling at the
just a little, like,
cameras,
wiggly worm
like
knee in
winking
there.
at my coaches and shit. Like, don't worry, this guy can't sub me. I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I'm gonna sub him because this is a unit
No,
right now.
that's-
But
yeah, dude.
he's got 50 pounds on me. But
I'm always curious, like, I'm always curious. Oh, piss over here. I'm always curious, like, because I don't have any wrestling,
Right.
background, and so it's always interesting to like talk to people that are wrestlers that have to that spend like probably a long time, and you can confirm how long it really kind of takes. Now, you've done jiu-jitsu in the past, no?
not much.
Not much. Okay, so then
Like,
so
I-
relatively, so you're fresh.
Like in the summer, here and there, I would do some jujitsu at No Limits when I was training there in high school, but
Okay, but not like
nothing really.
yeah, but enough to like kind of even
Know what
then
a guard is, and
like
know what a
know
triangle is, and know what an armbar is.
not be subject to like wait, I can go on my back, like that kind of weird thing.
No,
Or
there's
is it so-
it's a psychological. It's tough, bro.
Well, that's
It's
what I'm
tough.
saying is it's always interesting to talk to wrestlers who
It took a year for me to get
because like for
comfortable.
me when I started I had nothing, right? I just have like
Yeah, so you kind of
fucking around,
gravitated to Jagard or what?
well, yes, and the reason, even more so, like my bottom game got really good, and I actually studied Eddie, like lockdown stuff, like a lot of the bottom game because I had three guys. One was brand new, and the other two, well, one is Franco's son, who's not here. That dude that guy would be like with Gordon Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he gave a fuck, he doesn't. But if he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be a professional jiu-jitsu athlete," he would be Gordon Ryan's like toughest opponent. I'm like actually not kidding. Bryce is that man has brutalized more people than I've ever seen. Like gnarly, but he's like state champion wrestler, right? But then he also has jiu-jitsu from literally before he could walk.
Right.
So he has this complete grapple knowledge.
Yeah.
He's kind of not even in this discussion. Right? He's a freak. And then there was another guy, and they were both they both were high school wrestlers, college wrestlers, no jiu-jitsu. So when they came in, my buddy Adam, who now, dude, the guy's like, he's just a fucking unit. But when we started, I think he came in, he was either a month after me or I was a month after him. We started like the same time. But he came in and was just, I'm a wrestler. Like, boom. Like, the energy was just smash, get onto smash. So, and I have no, I'm strong. He's a big boy. Just stronger and way better with, takedowns and everything. So when I would go with him, it was funny because we both came in with very, very high energy. Like, because we just didn't know how to just play the game
me.
or relax.
That was
and,
me.
It's everybody. The white belt warrior. It's a fucking thing.
Yeah.
So,
And growing up wrestling too, like I was fucking.
yeah, you just have
everybody. I just
you have
wanted
the
to
wrestling room
yeah.
energy. You just have everyone's like, and like you gotta
snap them down,
and I didn't have that, but I had the kind of like the bravado of like, I'm a professional athlete, I'm taller, I'm gonna
Right.
fucking smash these guys, like, so it was always like I didn't know how to. A lot of emotional shit coming up, and this is maybe a talk for another time, like about the healing of just grappling in general, and that's another thing. But
totally.
but yeah, so they would just like they would just go, you and Adam go over there, because it was just, you just.
Well, I think it's
It was like
important to
two
have
bears,
those.
you know, like
Yeah, you need to have gym rivalries though. Gym rivalries are super, or
for sure.
like training rivalries in the gym. I mean, like
Yeah.
those are super
Yeah,
important.
we had like,
for the growth of the gym and the growth of you
Yeah,
guys as
I guess-
athletes too.
I guess I never viewed it like a rivalry. I just always, I mean, it just always made sense. It was like, you guys are relatively the same size. He's got like, 20 pounds on me, which jiu-jitsu's kind of whatever.
Oh,
you
I'm
know, like,
competitive.
it's like,
I'm super competitive.
Oh, no,
so
for
they're,
sure.
They're rivalries
for sure.
to
Oh,
me.
yeah, no, I
mean?
hear you. I hear you. and it is. And it is, because it's always like whenever you like, I show up to class and Adam's there in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
I wanna
love-
see them
'cause-
succeed,
'cause
don't get me
Because I
wrong.
love going with them, because
Yeah.
it always brings out like,
Yeah, I want to
it
see my
brings out the
rivals
competition.
succeed. Don't get me wrong, because I know that just means that I'm elevating too.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know what
facts,
I mean?
facts.
But
But it
they're
was cool.
rivalries.
It was funny because, well, Adam is literally the main, and obviously all the instruction and all the coaching from the professors.
Mhm.
Duh, but that goes without saying. But like very specifically, and then it was Adam, and then Brad Buckland, my buddy Brad, who actually got me into jujitsu. Adam, primarily, Brad, just because he was like 260 pounds or something, so he was just so big. It was just like, he just whatever, he just dumped my
Right.
skinny ass and just get on top.
Right.
But I really started working the bottom game, because Adam would just dominate me from a wrestling. I mean, he'd take me down and get on top, and he'd stay on top.
Gotcha.
And so he would kind of get frustrated, because it's like, wait a minute, you're on your back. You're not done. It's just, you know how this.
I do.
You're
I
like,
do.
oh, what do I do now? Like, I feel like I won already. And then I would just like, I got more guillotines on Adam than anybody, because it just was like, he just, here you go. Here's my neck. And like,
Yeah, that growth for me took multiple steps for me, and it was honestly like I talked to people that come in that like wrestled and stuff that I see like potential in. I talked to them about this because I went through it. It psychologically is like it hurts, man. Like for me to have over 1,000 wrestling matches, right? Go to my first sub fighter tournament and be winning both matches like by 15-0 in points, and then lose to like getting subbed by like ankle locks and shit like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it psychologically
"What the fuck?"
hurts. Like,
Yeah, right.
you're like, I'm so much better
right.
than these guys who have like they've been doing this for 6 months, never done anything before. Came off the street like they were cross country runners, and they're fucking me
They
up.
learned to fucking ankle
And
lock.
they're
and that
fucking
was-
me up with an ankle lock, right? And I think a lot of wrestlers actually quit there. I think like a lot of people
I could see that.
they quit in those places. Like I got guillotined straight for 6 months, right? And then there is even a point where I was good enough to recognize when these things were happening, and I was still just wrestling and smashing. And then at Worlds is when I like got my blue belt. My first blue belt tournament was Worlds last year in October, and I just got shit on, dude, by this kid that like I was out wrestling, but he got deep on a takedown, and I was trying to fight it and hip toss him so hard that he ended up just like rolling through to my back and then just latching on and pulling me and sucking me down and just strangling me. And then I watched him do it all the way to the finals to everybody.
Yeah, he just had.
And then I was like, and for months, dude, I like literally would like think it like at night, like after, and be like, that was fucked up. Like I fucked up. Like I cared so much about a takedown. That's nothing in this sport. It's nothing in this sport.
That
really.
happened. That happened to me. This like lock, right? Because in the last year, I've been I've been spending time with Adam and the wrestlers, because I enjoy that. I enjoy the like. My bottom game got so good that I then was like, okay, let me actually start like asserting because I was just like, it was just kind of like once I realized that like I'm not going to be stronger than people. Like I'm not going to just like someone that knows more than me is going to manipulate my strength against me. So, and that took like 2 months
Yeah, it's like
to
a
humble myself and be
dude.
like,
That's what it is.
to
It's
be
like
like,
soul searching,
time
right?
out. Like,
And so, like for me, my wrestling was like I had after Worlds, I had to have this like conversation with myself, and I was like, Josh, when you wrestled, you didn't even wrestle neutral. You hated wrestling on your feet because you wrestled everyone that was shorter than you, like way shorter than you, and the length always worked against you, and they were underneath you, and you hated being on your feet. I always got my points on top from leg riding, aka a truck,
right. Yep.
and I always like would pin, you know? Like I was good on bottom and I was great on top. Those were my like positions. And I was like, just accept that role.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah, there's
I
a
was
style,
afraid of
there's a
being in
frame.
guard. I
Yeah.
used to be afraid of being in guard in like October. I was afraid of being in guard.
You
So
being
what
in somebody's
so
guard.
what I started doing like from November to like today
You were
is
afraid of getting into somebody's guard, or
being in my own
or you
guard.
putting somebody in your guard? I see,
Yeah,
okay.
I was afraid of being on my back, basically.
Yeah, right.
I didn't like being smashed.
Right.
And so what I had to do is I just started pulling guard now and just wrestling up and working butterfly like sweeps.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
a lot of my game.
For sure.
And then backpack. And then I try
Yeah,
to
it's
do backpack.
it's fun. It's super cool how you get to this barrier psychologically, and then you're like, okay, good. And I can imagine that it's even deeper as a wrestler because you're actually associated with grappling.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to it just being a personality, like an ego thing. You know, like for me was like it wasn't like. It wasn't like, oh, I've done this before, and that kind of thing.
I think that's
it
why it
was
took me
just,
so long to come back to
I
it.
should be dominating other guys, and it's like, yo, like that's ignorant as fuck, bro.
It is.
Like to myself, and I'm like, you know,